This is Vince Russo from Ring of Glory, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com.
Something I want to bring up from your book was he said there was always a belief that you weren't a big star unless you were a player in the WWE. Do you really think that was something that really hurt Eric Bischoff, where he really wouldn't, like a Jericho or somebody that should have been a big star in WCW, but he wouldn't really make him that. He just kept bringing in guys that had runs in WWE.
I think it was more the problem that Eric Bischoff was not a wrestling person and really was not equipped to assess talent. And to have a Chris Jericho or a Steve Austin or a Cactus Jack or some of the characters that were there that went on to tremendous success in the World Wrestling Federation or World Wrestling Entertainment, Eric just didn't have the ability to recognize their talent and to give them an opportunity and to push them. And who knows had he done that? And I kind of hint to it in my book that the day that he ran, it wasn't a decision where Chris Jericho was torn between two decisions and the two companies, and finally reluctantly decided to go work for Vince McMahon and had a tremendous career. He was virtually run out of WCW by Eric Bischoff. He had no choice. He had to go. And his talent speaks for itself from that point. He was given an opportunity working for Vince McMahon, and he sure knows what to do with that opportunity, and he's one of the great talents in our business.
Yeah.
A similar story could be Ric Flair. It seems that Eric Bischoff nor Vince Russo ever really saw what made Ric Flair so great.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it in the book, but I remember I wasn't with WCW very long, and Ric Flair and Eric Bischoff were on a collision course, and Rick has a lot of pride, and he certainly has had a degree of success and had at that point, and wasn't going to tower down to Eric Bischoff, and he was in a position to stand up for himself, which he did. And Eric Bischoff made no secret of the fact that he wanted to try and destroy the career of Ric Flair. And so he got a called a meeting right before TV with everybody there, and I remember he had put Roddy Piper in the front of the room, and he put Sting up the front of the room, and talked about, kind of trying to take a slap at Ric Flair and saying, that he's not at the level of these people that you're looking at up here. And he said in front of all those witnesses, I'm going to destroy Ric Flair in his career. I'm going to break him financially. He said, we work for a company that has a group of lawyers that are on retainer, and I can make life miserable for him, and it's not costing me anything, and I'll break him in legal fees. And you could just feel the chill in the room, because not everybody has to like Ric Flair personally, but certainly he was well respected in the business and still is by his peers. I mean, here was a guy that was a world champion multiple times, and everybody in that room, if they said, look, you got a magic wand, and if you had a chance to change places with Ric Flair, I think 99 out of 100 would say yes. I mean, he's where we're all trying to get to be. It's the main event every night and a world champion, and here's Eric Bischoff standing up there saying that he's going to try and destroy Ric Flair. And I know I was thinking, as I'm sitting in the back of the room leaning against the wall, I wonder what some of these young talent are thinking, that if Eric Bischoff takes that attitude with Ric Flair and puts him down after all he's accomplished and all he's contributed to the business, and what would he do to me if I ever got sideways with him? And I think it created a kind of a subtle, quiet wave of support for Ric Flair, because, again, Eric Bischoff just exposed himself as to really what a poor businessman he really was, and not a quality human being.
Yeah, definitely, like you said, the poor businessman, because to all the old-time fans of WCW or NWA fans, Ric Flair was like the heart and soul of WCW.
Yes.
So it really didn't make any sense for the company. There's one last thing I want to bring up. Was in your book you said about Andre the Giant, said when McMahon hired you, we don't need Dillon, he's from the other side. Do you think that's a bad attitude for the wrestlers? Because I kind of think a lot of the guys in WWE thought that they won the war when WWE won, and those same guys now they're getting their pay cut and they're getting fired.
You know, I did not take it personally, and I think I tried to explain that in the book, that when Vince told me about that comment, he didn't do it, you know, with malice to make me feel bad or to put me down or to any way demean Andre the Giant. It was guys that play on a team, and especially a winning team, kind of align themselves with it and become part of it and get swept up in it. And you look at the New York Yankees, you know, with the great success they've had, and every new player that comes in there, even somebody as great as Alex Rodriguez that had such tremendous success with the Texas Rangers and before with the Seattle Mariners, and that first year that he was with the Yankees, it was like he was an outsider, and he was playing on the biggest stage in the world in New York for George Steinbrenner, and he kind of struggled to be comfortable with that identity. And I'm sure there were people there who said, why did George Steinbrenner pay him all that money? Why did they bring him here? We didn't need Alex Rodriguez. He's from out there, and we're here. And I think you see that same sentiment in other sports, and as was the case in wrestling at that time. There were people there like Andre that the history went back to Vince's father.
Yeah.
And even though he worked with the NWA, with the territories, and did very well financially, his association was with Vince's father and with that company. Mm-hmm. And so for somebody new to first come in, I'm sure John Laurinaitis went through that. You know, and here's Jim Ross. He's coming in to fill Jim Ross's shoes, and there's a lot of resistance. What do we need him for? You know, he's coming in from the outside. You know, we got Jim Ross.
Right. Is there anything you want to tell your fans to get them to come to Tribute to Starrcade, November 19th, Spartanburg, South Carolina?
I just think it'll be a great night. I'm excited about going because it gives me a chance to come back and to, you know, have interaction one-on-one with fans from years and years ago, at a time then when we were isolated and the landscape was different, and we didn't get a chance to meet the fans and to kind of let them get to know us. And the experience that I've had, I've yet to have one negative experience going back with fans that bring their kids and talk about, you know, I used to hate this man, you know, and they point at you, and then the next thing you know, they'll be speaking fondly about a match or an arena or an angle or something. And it's very gratifying to go back and to know after 20 years you've withstood the test of time, and I'm sure the Salute to Starrcade will be no different. Tony Hunter's got a tremendous lineup. The fact that there's a wrestling match with Dusty Rhodes and Tully Blanchard, I think it's just the icing on the cake, but it's a chance for fans to come back, take pictures, get autographs, share your stories. If you got old memorabilia that you want signed, bring it along. I will have copies of my book. I do not charge an extra fee to sign and personalize, and even those who can't be there that order through the mail order, I'm continuing to sign and personalize each copy as my way of saying thank you for going to the effort, if you can't be there, to go on jjdillon.com and find my book and order it. And we've talked a lot about it, and I appreciate that because I'm very proud of it. I think it's a great book, and I think that anybody that goes to the trouble to find it will feel that it was worth the money that they spent and worthy of reading it.
Yeah,
I hope
really
there are
is
a lot of
great
you
book.
can come to Spartanburg because I would like to meet you personally.
Yeah, I'd like to say this is a really good book. I put up there with the Foley book, you know, maybe the Dynamite Kid book. It's not only anybody out there. It's not just about J.J. Dillon. It's really like a history of the modern wrestling because he was there throughout, you know, all the ups and downs. Well, thank you for being on here. It's a real honor to have you back on.
Anytime I can be on, I really enjoy this. And if you read my book, I started out as a 14-year-old kid, not like unlike a lot of others that tune in and watch wrestling and just fall in love with it, and I did, and I chased my dream, and I was very fortunate, very lucky to have a lot of things go my way, and I stayed a lot of years in the wrestling business. I traveled the world, met a lot of wonderful people, and I still say it's the greatest business in the world and the most entertaining thing that there's ever been. And I'm still a wrestling fan and will never stop being that.